From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
The man accused of driving drunk and killing a woman on I-90 wants a new judge. Just ahead, learn about the courtroom arguments being made for 23-year-old Alexander Ledoux, explaining why a different judge is necessary. And Baltimore's Key Memorial Bridge is about 1.5 miles long. Much of it is now in the river and clogging the Port of Baltimore. Coming up, we have the latest on the debris removal process.
This Friday and Saturday, Montana State is hosting the 48th annual Powwow here at the Brick Breeden. I'm Cassidy Powers, here to give you a deeper look into what goes into setting up this celebration.
Alrighty, it is 6:30 on this Friday. Jane McDonald and Matt Elbow. Well, everyone, we made it to Friday.
We did.
Almost to the weekend. We're
almost to
there.
April.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of a warm start to April, but I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
No,
but, oh my goodness.
This week has just been all over the board.
Yeah.
We're just kind of moving the goalposts as we're going for the most part.
Pretty much.
Temperatures this morning, chilly. We may want those heavier jackets or a light coat as you're heading out. Temperatures into the 20s. There are a few areas that could be dealing with some spotty showers for the afternoon. A lot of this focused west of the divide, but I wouldn't be shocked to see some isolated showers east of the divide as well. Overall, pretty dry to start the day. Temperatures expected to be into the 40s for today in Bozeman, upper 30s to low 40s in Butte. Look for some patchy fog. Well, don't go looking for it. Be aware that it may be out there. You got to watch how I'm phrasing things. With some spotty showers expected for the afternoon. I'm going to talk more about your forecast from the Weather Patio coming up here in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. Now, it's been nearly 3 months since 22-year-old Lisa Grewell was killed while driving home from work on I-90. The man accused of killing her was scheduled to face a judge yesterday morning for the first time. But as MTN's Jolie Salee reports, that court appearance never happened.
We've been following this case since the beginning. A 22-year-old woman fatally struck on I-90 by an alleged wrong-way drunk driver. He was supposed to make his initial appearance in court today, but the Gallatin County attorney tells us that appearance has been canceled. Lisa Grewell was headed home from work on January 4th when she was hit head-on by a wrong-way driver, killing her. Lisa died the day before her daughter's first birthday. She was reportedly also pregnant with a second child at the time of her death. This is 23-year-old Alexander Norbert Ledoux. He's charged with 8 felony charges, including vehicular homicide while under the influence. According to court documents, Ledoux was drunk when he drove his SUV at a high rate of speed the wrong way on I-90 for approximately 20 miles before colliding with Lisa. The mugshot comes from Teton County, Idaho, where Ledoux is facing several misdemeanor charges, including driving under the influence, in October of 2023. According to court documents in Gallatin County, toxicology reports show Ledoux's blood alcohol level was .198, more than twice the legal limit the night Lisa was killed. Ledoux was scheduled to make his first initial appearance in court at the Lawn Justice Center Thursday morning. During a status hearing on March 26th, Ledoux's defense team informed the court that Ledoux is out of state and requested that he be able to make his court appearance via video so he could go to a different men's facility for psychological and chemical dependency on April 2nd. According to court records, Deputy County Attorney Shannon Foley noted that Ledoux has access to significant resources and is able to post a high bail amount. She also addressed Ledoux's mental health along with public safety. Judge Bruner denied the request, ordering Ledoux to appear on March 28th. But before that could happen, Ledoux's defense team filed a motion to substitute Judge Bruner. Judge Peter Oman is now assigned to the case. I spoke with Lisa's fiancé, Cody Pullen, who shared his disappointment. I'm deeply disappointed by the recent development in the court proceedings involving Alex Ledoux, said Cody. As Lisa's fiancé, it's disheartening to witness efforts that appear to shield Alex from consequences of his actions and public scrutiny. I also wish Alex's parents would act rightly during this time. Transparency and accountability are essential as we move forward. Ledoux is now scheduled to appear in court April 16th. No word yet if he will appear in person or via video. In Bozeman, Jolie Salee, MTN News.
And Thursday, a state commission heard testimony about the growing need to serve the homeless population in Montana. MTN's Jonathan Amberian explains that ties into the demand for behavioral health services.
The Behavioral Health System for Future Generations Commission has been meeting across Montana since last summer, talking about what leaders can do to help strengthen those services. On Thursday, in a meeting in Havre, they brought together a panel of shelter directors and staff to talk about how their work on homelessness connects with behavioral health needs. Leaders said the demand for shelter services has spiked dramatically.
These percentage increases are unprecedented.
The Montana Coalition to Solve Homelessness says cities like Kalispell, Butte, Helena, Great Falls, and Bozeman saw the need grow by 40 to 200% after 2020. They said over 30% of the people shelters serve report mental health or substance use issues. But that data isn't giving the whole picture.
I think any shelter provider would tell you that that number of 30% experiencing mental illness or substance use disorder is almost certainly an undercount.
Several shelters said they work to connect the people they serve with case management and other services to help them get the resources they need to stabilize their situations. But they're already under a lot of pressure. The coalition made a proposal to the commission asking them to invest almost $10 million over 3 years to help shelters bring on more specialists and add space to provide the services on site or at central locations.
So that when somebody becomes ready to receive those sorts of services, we're not telling them to wait a few weeks. We're not having to set up to get them bus tickets or to set up transportation that might pull from other shelter services.
The commission will meet for a second day in Havre on Friday to hear from more panels and to discuss some potential initiatives to support children's mental health and caregivers. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Now, Baltimore's Key Memorial Bridge is about 1.5 miles long, and much of that is now in the river and clogging the Port of Baltimore. What's it going to take to remove all of that debris? Scripps News national correspondent Dan Grossman has the latest on the efforts to remove the debris from the water.
Like the steady dose of rain that fell Wednesday, uncertainty clouds the city of Baltimore for the foreseeable future. The Port of Baltimore has been blocked off due to the Key Bridge collapse. Nearly 140,000 jobs connected to it are in question, according to the state of Maryland. And until the debris is removed, there's no telling when things will resume. Supply chains are snarled, goods are being rerouted. It's an uncertainty that has leaked from the Patapsco River and trickled into businesses, both local and national.
The level of stress that things like that do put on you is amazing.
Brad McCarthy owns Maryland Blue Crab Shack. It's located only a few miles from the bridge collapse. Currently, he gets his fresh catch from the southern part of the state, meaning deliveries come over the Key Bridge. Until things are cleared up and it's rebuilt, he says he'll have to incur extra charges for the longer routes.
It's definitely going to be a traffic overload. I feel like with that, I would think 30% of the traffic that crosses the bay crosses on that bridge, so then now everything's going to get funneled through the tunnels.
Ships from around the world travel through the Chesapeake Bay and into the Baltimore Harbor. They carry millions of tons of cars, construction equipment, sugar, and other cargo.
It's a major issue. I mean, everybody is watching this.
William Doyle is the CEO of Dredging Contractors of America, the trade association working to coordinate the cleanup. He says more than 30 companies are supplying equipment to clear the 50-foot deep channel. Until that happens, ships are being rerouted to other ports along the mid-Atlantic coast.
Jobs will continue because it's always moving. All right, commerce is always moving. There's always backups or material that is sitting at the port that will move. This will be cleaned up quicker than most people can imagine.
There is no set timeline for when that cleanup will finish or when rebuilding will begin. It means owners like McCarthy will sit and wait for the clouds to part, making do in the meantime. Dan Grossman, Scripps News, Baltimore.
Now back closer to the Treasure State, every year Montana State hosts the annual powwow at the Brick Breeden Fieldhouse. And as MSU prepares for this year, our Cassidy Powers has a deeper look into what it takes to make this spectacular event happen.
In about 24 hours, this room behind me is going to be filled with song and dance as Montana State celebrates its 48th annual powwow. And they invite everyone to come and join for free.
We used to get together and have our own little powwows, but it was just us.
Wayne Stein is an elder in residence at Montana State University. He graduated in 1973 before the university held the annual powwows. He tells me in the 70s there were very few American Indian students, so they would hold their own powwows in the SOB barn on campus.
The first official powwow was in 1976, and I came to that. I was already graduated, but I was working close by, so I came to the powwow.
Wayne has attended around 35 of the 48 annual MSU powwows. I asked him how they've changed over the last half century.
Size, number one. I mean, the first one in 1976, they probably had 3 or 4 drums, and they probably had 100 dancers maybe.
Today, the powwows have about 26 drums, over 500 dancers, and as for attendance,
I'd say probably north of 1,000 at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming and
Over
going.
1,000 for sure.
a group of 8 students, the American Indian Council, or AIC, spends the entire year prepping for this celebration. I spoke with the current co-presidents of AIC to see what they've been doing to raise money.
For example, our fry bread sale down on Main Street, that was probably an all-day thing, and that raised a lot of money. And we're raising money year-round for this. And it's not just for this powwow, but the next powwow and the next one.
The AIC puts in hours of work for this community event that's free to anyone.
Our arms are always open. We are always wanting to teach and educate people who are not maybe knowledgeable about everything that we do or who we are, and that we are still here and our culture and everything that we practice is still very much alive.
Elder and resident Wayne is proud to see these young minds taking on such a heavy workload to carry on these important cultural celebrations.
That's pretty stressful for young people who have never done it before. I'm always amazed they get it done, and it looks really organized when you're over there, and I'm thinking, man, how did they do that?
This year's powwow takes place Friday at 6 and Saturday at 12 and 6 in the Brick Breeden Fieldhouse. In Bozeman, Cassidy Powers, MTN News.
All right, it is 6:41 now. We're going to take a short break here on Montana This Morning, but when we come back, it's hard to believe that we're already almost in April. So it's time to start thinking about some ways to save.
I'm John Mattery. Spring is here. We'll show you some of the best things to buy in April to enjoy the weather and save money. That story coming up.